All right, it is 6 o'clock. I will call the Dalton Township Planning Commission meeting for June 24th to order. Dave, here. Casey?
Here.
Jesse?
Here.
Todd?
Here.
John?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
And we do have one open seat yet, so if it does know somebody, have them get a hold of Heather. Next, we have the agenda. Is there any changes or anything to add to? Okay. Like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Or all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the approval minutes for the May 27th, 2025 meeting, and also for resolution PC 25-03. Anyone have any changes or anything to it, or I'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 27th, 2025, and approve resolution PC 25-03 as presented.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here, all right, next up, we do have our public comment. So this is 3 minutes for our public to take. We have a public hearing following this for the accessory building. But if you have any other comment that you would like to make, I will open that up at 6:03. Give it a minute. Anything come to mind?
I'm here about the next item on the agenda.
Okay. Perfect. All right, we'll get to that one here in a second. We'll open one up. All right. I think we have nothing for general public comment. I'll close the public comment at 6:04. All right, moving on to item 6, we have items for public hearing, which is the PC 25-08 ordinance amendment for accessory building on corner parcels. Kind of is it? Have our discussion after we do our public hearing. So first we will do the public hearing for PC 25-08. I will open that public hearing up at 6:05. You said you were here for that one? Okay. You have 3 minutes here to go ahead and stand up. If you would state your name and address so we can record it for the record, and then we'll listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, my name is Eddie Barnes. I live on 2240 Riverwood Drive. It's right off River and up there by a Brace gas station. Okay. It's about my lot. I just drew this little thing up to show you kind of where it is. This being River Road, this being Riverwood, and then the subdivision area like that. It's 300 by 150. The way it sits. Now my house sits kind of back in the corner, but the ordinance says that you can't build anything, have anything in your front yard. So this is my real front yard. And because I'm on a corner lot, I've been told, that this also is a front yard. Now, I have a small shed right there that was built, I think, in the 80s or early 90s, which is against the ordinance now, but it was grandfathered in because it was so long ago. I guess that ordinance came about and Steve, what the year?
2007.
2007 or so, so it's been there a while. Well, my shed, it's bad news. Needs repair, too small. It's only like 10 by 12 or something like that. But again, it's according to the ordinance, I can't do anything with it. I can't make it bigger because that would go against the rules. And the only thing I could do is tear it down and build it right on the same spot, I guess. Maybe I can't even do that. So I wanted to build a little larger pole barn in exactly the same spot. But I can't because that leaves me now this area to build it in. That's it. And that's like, I'm gonna say, maybe 30 feet or something like that. So I'd have to build a driveway through here and around the side. Because my neighbor sits right there, and that would be right in his side yard if I built a backyard. So that's my dilemma. I'm out of luck, and that's the thing that gets changed. And I'm not talking about building something right out here by the road. I'm talking about building something about like that, which would still comply with the front. And here's where the people go. This is all woods. My yard goes like right up to this. And this is technically in the woods area and all that. So in the summertime, you can't even see river hardly at all. So it's a good buffer in that regard. So that's my story. So I would see, this, I get this part of it, but I don't get that part of it. I'm not gonna build a house right there, I can't. So that's why that's a front yard, I have no idea. But I get it, in certain circumstances with other people and their footprint there, I'm sure that might be a real problem. If my house was right there, yeah, I could see that, but then we have them over here to do that thing, so. Right now, I'm hamstrung. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Right, we have no more public. I will close the public hearing at 6:08. No time for our discussion. I think it's set to read just as we kind of went through it. Did anyone notice anything different from what we had originally stated was the good. Very well. Is there anything anyone noticed on it or any comment?
Say 2 front yards is stupid. You should only be forced to have 1 front yard. That's kind of overreach to say you have to have 2.
Right.
So it looked good to me.
You have a motion that is listed here. If someone would like to use that.
I make a motion to recommend that the township board adopt ordinance 2025-03.
Take a roll call vote. Dave, yes. Casey?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Lee?
Yeah.
Need board.
Thank you much.
That's the ordinance.
you all approve that, that's, I mean, we'll build it tomorrow, but, so when, how long does it take to do the proper channels to make it an official ordinance?
It'll be at the end of July.
Okay, I think you told me that, but
Yeah.
you say
Now you can start looking at least. You can get all your information that you need to have, to bring it to Stephen, and he can make sure you're within your.
Oh, right, yeah,
information on that, so.
yeah, there's a permit and all that stuff that has to be done, sure. I'm probably not gonna get it done till next year, but at this rate, but I got, well, ducks in a row, your ducks in a row, and all that stuff. I'm in a hurry, but boy, it's doable as well. Yeah, step.
Yeah. All right, we move into communications. We do have a report here on some administrative permits and enforcement for of May. Then we move into unfinished business almost done and new business. All right, we have an extension of SU 24-04 and SPR 24-05 for Fulton Road parcel. And again, it's the one on M120. And they're looking for a 1-year extension.
Steve, I'm guessing I would abstain on this because I was absent for this meeting, it looks like. Shows me as being absent when the resolution was adopted.
Well, I believe, because it's just an extension, it would. I don't think it would come to bear.
Okay.
It's,
Either way, I don't have a problem with it.
It's just the extension. This is, I looked at this and I saw the site plan and I thought, gosh, that looks like it's not, but that's when we started getting our, I guess our, want to make sure that we're complying with things. But while the site, everything, that's pretty good drawing. I gotta give them credit. That actually is pretty much what it looks like. It's, someone spent some time and it must have had like a character artist go out and do that, 'cause that is pretty accurate. All right, any comments or anything on that, or? We have a motion sample for that one.
it's right on a sample, but the, motion would essentially say, move to grant a 1-year extension to this special land use and site plan review. SU 24-04 and SPR 24-05.
Make a motion for a 1-year extension on SU 24-04 and SPR 24-05.
Or
All right, we'll take a roll call vote on that. Dave, yes. Casey?
yes,
Jesse?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And Lee?
Yes.
All right, this forward. We do have a couple of items. Maybe we have one discussion for the fences in the front yard. Steve, you want to tell us a little bit about your situation with that?
Yeah, so I helped somebody up, it's like a wood picket fence. We currently have a 90% visibility requirement if it's in the front yard, 4-foot height maximum. That does eliminate like picket fences, lattice fences, stuff like that, more decorative fences. Still have a relatively decent visibility, but if you're going 55 miles an hour, it might not be as appropriate versus if you're going 25 miles an hour, I could see that being a little more appropriate. It's something where it's an enforcement case that was put up without a permit and it is presently in the right of way. Owners indicated they'd be willing to move it onto their property if they would be able to keep it. So before I, escalate the situation, I want to make sure that this is something that the planning commission feels would be appropriate.
Personally, I think any fence is okay, being it's outside of the, I mean, definitely in the right of way, no, they have to move it. The visibility thing with fence, I guess, for me, I mean, if it's outside of the right of way, I feel they should be able to have what they want for a fence, I guess is my thought. I don't think anything, for example, nothing prevents anybody from planting a blue spruce along the front property line that grow 15 foot tall on their south wall. Which is nice for privacy and whatnot, but would cut down way more visibility than a sliding fence, for example. So, so I mean, I think the 4 foot thing is good, but I think we should allow picket fences or whatever type of thing, as long as it's outside the right.
That always makes me
In
wonder.
my opinion.
What makes me nervous when we have like 90% visibility or
Right.
50% visibility, then we're like
Right.
measuring going, I think that's 44. I think
Right.
that's 58. I mean, I think it's easier to make it
That's
simple,
not something I
simple.
would actually measure, it's more of a judgment, like. If it's 80%, I'm probably gonna say, you know, I'd consider that 90. But like a picket fence is much closer to 50.
My general opinion is I get nervous though, thinking about a fence being on a road. Like, for example, who has sat at the corner of Riley Thompson and Whitehall Road and tried to see past Michigan's Adventures things that are tall?
Right.
They're not over 4 feet tall, but because the road is down in the parking lot, there's a grade change between the road and the parking lot. You can't see anything past that. Plus, there's a curve. I just think we should kind of be careful about intersections, maybe. And
And you have,
it's one thing to be on the road, like in the middle of a bunch of houses or businesses, but as you get closer and closer to intersections, it does make me nervous to have, because it's true, you can't see around, depending on grades, you may not be able to see very well around some of these fences.
driveways are another concern as well. I do know there are clear vision triangles that I believe ours is 25 foot
Mm-hmm.
along the rights of way, which that's good for driveways, but for intersections, I believe it should be more.
Right. I think it probably should, especially at high
To
speeds.
Casey's point, there's an abundance of lots around at least Twin Lake that are really close together. They're practically zero lot line. And if somebody decides they want a solid 4 foot fence to the right-of-way marker, that causes yet another driving lack of visibility problem, kids on bikes, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, kids come darting out of their driveway.
Yeah, I don't even know why they would want one that close, but I have a question about something Jesse brought up. Suppose somebody, and maybe I haven't read this well enough, but suppose somebody planted arborvitae's at 4 foot or a nice decorative bush at 4 foot. Next year it's 5, 6, 7. Are those required to be kept at 4 foot?
Don't specifically mention it, and it's
I don't
not something
think
I've
so.
ever enforced, but you might be able to shoehorn it in as a fence, the definition.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Unless it blocks clear vision of traffic,
You
it's
see,
not something that I would.
I see arborvitae's especially that start small, but next thing you know, they're
They're out of
25
control.
foot.
Yeah.
And where you see them, there's obviously no deer around. Deer love them, but
So maybe we just leave it as is, huh?
yeah.
I feel
just
like
think-
maybe it's in there for safety. Like when they originally came about it, I wonder what research went into, like you said, like the safety triangles. If you have so many driveways and each one of those has to have this distance to be safe, then you're getting close to the intersection, that has to have this. Then I'm beginning to wonder if all of those overlap into each other,
Yeah.
which means there is no safety if there's no place you could put a fence that would be outside of that safety zone. You could
Riley
maybe do.
Thompson, Whitehall Road though is the worst.
I always tell my kids to go around
I
the
used to
block.
drive a Prius. I had no clue what was
Right.
coming.
It's like, good luck.
Without pulling out. If you're in a truck, you're advantaged, but anyway, I solved that.
Does it make sense? Kind of what Stevens said, it might make sense to allow for a 50% visibility in the front yard of properties that are located on streets with speed limits of 35 miles per hour or less.
See, I think Todd just made a good point about that, though. Those are exactly the roads that kids come darting out of their driveway right into the road. And on a 55-mile-an-hour road, you're more likely to have parents say, have a line in their driveway, do not cross. In these neighborhoods, that might be the time where you're seeing a kid come in front of you and not necessarily another car pulling out or something like
And
that.
not everybody owns a SUV or truck, you know, I mean, really, it's being fair to the greater population of automobiles.
Before I thought about changing it, I'd really want to do some more research about safety zones and things like that and see if any communities have ever allowed less visibility and how it worked out.
Have you seen any of these in other municipalities, jurisdictions that are written with some of this incorporated, or is ours pretty consistent with that?
I've not looked specifically, it seems like it'd be pretty standard.
I mean, it doesn't seem that forceful. I mean, if the thing that, we haven't had anything before this come before on this, so I mean, it could be a one and done, but again, I can see the safety why. I know we've done it before. I remember a couple of was a lot. We did one where we had to go out there and they wanted to put the fence in the front yard. And they went beyond what they were supposed to, and they had to change it. So I mean, we forced before, I think it was the height on it, what they were looking for. Thoughts?
Another technicality that I could see somebody trying is horizontal pickets, spaces in between. But again, make that visibility, even if it was 50%, make it difficult, I think, for drivers, neighbors, cyclists.
They can just leave it, or
I'm kind of inclined to just leave it. I think it's there for a reason.
I'm fine with that. Okay.
So at the moment, then what would happen if we left it now? This has to remove it entirely? Or does he just have to move it back?
Yeah, so it would need to be removed entirely.
Yeah, he's not really wanting to, because imagine that's what
It's
they put it out, they want it.
reminder that all of our ordinances do have to be enforced.
Is this a new fence that
This
is,
is new,
they obviously did come in for a permit or,
we did not.
yeah, well.
We're running into a lot of that lately,
Yeah.
a lot of them without permits, so. Sometimes we get fortunate and they're built to the requirements of the ordinance. Other times we don't, and they have to move the building.
There's somebody on Whitehall Road that has a chain link fence in their front yard, and you can literally see their dogs and kids running around on the inside perfectly. I mean, he does that, maybe he could sell the fence panels and buy a chain link fence or something if he really wants a fence in his front yard.
We will leave that one.
Yeah, it's not as if we don't allow fences at all, it
Yeah.
just has to be more visible.
All right, next up, we have the Lakewood Addition Sub-Area Plan, preliminary assessment of conditions. What did that share? Some interesting verbiage. I put down in my own notes, John Roll, where you said, pretty much if somebody wants to use that property for something, they should buy it. Otherwise, they are in there doing stuff on other people's property and not getting all the stuff that's in there. But I don't know how, like, the builder is gonna have to clean it up. And then set signage up, not allowing use, whether it's, no RVs or whether it's no trespassing, whatever's gonna happen, he's gonna do that, but he has to gain full ownership of all those until then. So is your thought, what is your thought on that?
Yeah, so it's, Any public input, I think is important. Some people might, maybe the overwhelming majority wants it to stay public or undeveloped. Maybe people would be, they're tired of everyone running through there and they think, maybe throwing a couple houses in there will actually improve the situation. I'm inclined to say private ownership of land generally leads to better stewardship in most cases. As you can see with the ORVs operating in the wetlands, that's been relatively destroyed. Not taken care of as well. But then you can see another wetland in figure 6 where it's untouched and it's really nice and good natural habitat.
They probably got stuck in that one before, so they stay out of it.
It helps that there are no developed trails to that one.
Right.
Just have to make it wetter.
Is that a mud bog?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Justin and I did see chains and other things that indicated people get
They're messing
on
up.
it. I mean, people turns and everything, so
It's been there for a long time, yeah, that whole area up in there.
So is this something you would like to have presented maybe to the people for that, the 7th, the open house?
yeah, so that's something that kind of want the conditions, how it's presently being used.
Yeah, those pictures are pretty powerful.
Spontaneously. And there's good, I wouldn't recommend it. Lakewood, Russell is just about impassable to any vehicle, to regular vehicles. People have dug it out and put mud pits. Using it for, unofficial recreation,
I'll travel through there, yeah.
which is essentially what all that's going to be used for if it's not developed or sold to private hands or publicly monitored and
Yeah, that's good.
put into recreational use.
Is there progress made on his purchasing of all the ones that are currently either Dalton Township owned or privately owned? Is he in the pursuit of those?
He's purchased all of the properties, one by Dalton Township where he wants to develop, which is just it's a significant part of the sub area, but it's not all of it. And I think he's made some headway on it, but it can be hard to contact them because usually it's, the next of kin of the next of kin of the original owner. So,
I have a couple of those things and they're a nightmare.
so the township is purchasing, they have been purchasing the properties that come from tax sales if they're in this area, because it's easier to it's easier to own them, combine them with our properties, and then sell them as a single unit, or resell them to an adjacent landowner.
And any other discussion for that? Something just again, that July 7th meeting, the open house. Did you have any preference on how you'd like us involved in that?
Not exactly sure yet. I would imagine it's geared towards public engagement. So hopefully we get a good turnout and there's discussions about what people think would be appropriate there. And hopefully we'll have people that live in the area and can express their desires or what they think are issues that need to be addressed. I do know since there's a lot of crime outside of dumping garbage. That's another thing that I'd like to at least attempt to address in the plan. Ways to mitigate or discourage that.
Have you sensed any concerns up till now? The greater Lakewood community? Or
It's always just been, you know, kids running around on dirt bikes and quads and
Well, I live right up against it. And, the quads and all that, to me, are the least of the worries. Like, there's people living back there. I've seen the craziest things come out of the woods. People on drugs, high as a kite, had to call the cops numerous times. It's pretty wild back in there. But I don't necessarily want to see it get super developed either. But it ain't my property. I'd buy it if I could, but yeah, something's got to be done because it's, and I think if things continue to get worse and worse, like it's going to get worse and worse. So I don't know what the answer is, but there's people living back there.
I would think development would eliminate a lot of that if it's done right with
yeah,
not
it's
fencing,
a
but
balancing act. that we
cleared
have to
out
do.
in certain areas and.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I would hate to see like a bunch of like income subsidized housing or something, like, we're just gonna like create a bigger problem. But
I don't think the market is entirely there for a large development. Especially in that area. It's, you know, people aren't gonna wanna, there aren't very many people that would want to be on well and septic. Most people want water and sewer. And, you know, paved roads, 5 minutes from a grocery store. So I don't want to, you know, I worry about overextending ourselves and designing and building for
Yeah.
houses that are never gonna be sold or lots that aren't going to be developed.
Right. Well, if they do it in phases, I guess that's one way to control it, you know. Developers do that, but
I know that, like, at the end of my road, the township put barriers, and that cut down on, we used to have all hours of the day and night, you'd have people racing down our street. Because at the end of my road, it's like a turnaround, but a 2-track began.
sure.
And they put barriers in to discourage people from going back in there through that way. And it worked for a while until they made another path, but then that got blocked.
Sure.
And so that's basically cut down on it. So I don't know if that's the other answer is, in the meantime, before we wait for somebody to buy this and develop it, to just lock the whole thing down as best as possible.
Yeah. Short-term and long-term solutions.
So those cement barriers aren't that expensive. They'd have to be a lot of them.
So you feel as if nothing was done, it would continue to get worse.
Probably, yeah.
It's just left there.
I tend to agree that people own it, they're gonna take care of it, or at least protect it in some way. Or at least there's somebody that can go out there, even if it's just once a year or something, and go, what the heck is going on?
Someone that we can write a letter to and say, hey, there's people living on your property.
Right.
We can't, you know, we can find people on Dalton Township property
Yeah.
who are the ones that have to take care of it.
How do you enforce that? I mean, you don't send, we send people out there to look for it, you wait for the complaints to come in, that's the way it usually works, right?
Sometimes we find it, sometimes there's a complaint. Normally, it's been complaints, but you start taking a little more of a proactive approach, just looking for it. Especially now with electric fours, sometimes people will filter down. It's not uncommon for people to be living in the woods for a week after the festival. So we,
Dave to show up with the bus again.
Maybe that's it. I got a whole nother idea.
sometimes it works, we just drive out there and tell them we're the township and they have to get off our land.
It's the big glow sticks running through the woods. Is that marijuana? It's the leaves.
So it's something that's been a fight we've, come across one recently where they're camping on township property. There's a whole compound of campers and they're actually paying a guy to live there. He's looking to get out from it says. So it's stuff like that
I hope to see some of these parcels combined into enough that someone wants to buy it it's a big enough chunk now.
Yeah.
To maintain it or something, maybe they use it for hunting or something and that they have they get 20 acres or something and
Yeah.
that could clean up their section at least.
and replatting it would be very beneficial for that.
Yeah,
'Cause it could give you, 10 to 30 acre chunks.
right, now it feels worthless unless you're like a developer that's gonna submit like a planned development or something.
Yeah. And we as a township could, if we own a large chunk of land, it's easier to replat or unplat that
Right.
chunk
Right,
on our own than if we had to work with property owners that are absent and they own 50 by 100
Right.
chunk.
at the open house, is this gonna be platted on something bigger, so
Yes.
will it show what the township owns and what's missing or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Maps.
That's good.
And that is on July 7th from 6 to 8. So we will make sure at least an appearance. We will stay for most of it, but I'm out of town.
I'll try to stay.
Otherwise, I paid.
They let me out tonight.
He's gotta be here.
Let me
I'll
again.
be here for most of it Tuesday. All right.
Come and go is fun. Ask questions and let us know what they think.
All right, that takes us through our agenda for tonight. If there's anything anyone else would like to discuss, otherwise,
I make a motion to adjourn.
support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll end the meeting at 6:38. Guys, have a good night.
Bye, Chelsea.
Public house numerous times.
That's a sucks. There's an entrance at the end of your street.
Good luck on your ventures.
Thank you.
Hopefully, that will